Good day everyone! Today we continue our follies with the Power Macintosh 7300. In the last video we successfully wiped the hard drive clean and installed Mac OS 9 on this, and it went perfect, and this computer has been running perfect since that install. I now have it situated here on the shelf and I've got it connected to my Sony Trinitron monitor. Today, in this video, we are going to see if we can get the Mac OS 9.1 update installed on this. This will introduce us to some solutions for moving data to a Macintosh of this age, because that can be an issue today. Now, of course, the Mac OS 9.1 update, which I found online, there's quite a few places online that host it, although you gotta make sure, if you're in North America, to get the North American English version, not the international English version. And it's 71 megabytes in size, so obviously you can't get it to this thing through a floppy. I could burn a CD with it and put the CD in here and move the data that way, but thing is, I don't want to waste a bunch of CDRs, moving data, because I imagine this update will be the first of many data transfers I want to make to this machine. So I don't want to use up a bunch of CDRs. I can't use CDRWs because this drive's too old to read CDRWs. It doesn't have USB, so I can't use a USB drive. And if I ever get a hardware upgrade for this thing, that's the first thing I'll do, is get a USB card. So that leaves one thing: networking this thing with another computer and transferring the data that way over Ethernet, since this thing has a built-in Ethernet port. Now, I've done a lot of reading online, and it seems that the only way to transfer data between a Macintosh running the classic Mac OS and a PC is to use third-party software installed on each system. Well, I don't want to go that route, because I know Mac OS already has built-in software for data transfer, but it only works with other Macs, not with Windows. And of course, to get the third-party software on this thing, well, I'm back at the exact same problem. I gotta get that third-party software onto this thing. So it looks like the only way to get data onto this thing would be to network it with another Macintosh. And that's where we bring in this thing. It's the iMac. Remember this? It's been sitting down there for like 2 years, and I finally brought it up and dusted it off, and it still works just fine. For anyone who's new or needs a refresher on this thing, this is a summer 2001 iMac G3. This one was made, if I remember right, it's been a long time, in February of 2002. It's 600 megahertz. It originally had 256 megabytes of RAM. I upgraded it to 512. And it's got a 40 gig hard drive and a CDRW drive, and I have it dual booting Mac OS 9.2.2, which it originally shipped with, and Mac OS 10.4.11. This thing originally shipped with, in addition to Mac OS 9.2.2, Mac OS 10.2. I got this thing just a few months before I graduated high school, mint in the box. This thing originally belonged to the New Brunswick Department of Education. It was purchased and placed in what was my middle school, and it was never used. It was locked in a room that was inaccessible to students, so, mischievous students couldn't get access to it, and it was otherwise never ever used. And eventually it was removed, and somehow, I don't know how, my math teacher at the time got a hold of it, and he gave it to me. This thing was mint in the box with almost all the original equipment. It came with the original Apple Pro keyboard and Apple Pro mouse. It had all the original software on the hard drive. Mac OS had never been upgraded. And it came with all the original software install discs, which I actually have handy right here. And it came with the original power cord, original FireWire cord, original telephone cable for the modem. The only thing it didn't come with was the original paper documentation. I still have the box and everything. It's downstairs in the basement. And yeah, beautiful computer, and it is indeed mint. This thing was never used. The only evidence that it ever belonged to anybody is there's a sticker on the back that says it's property of the New Brunswick Department of Education, although it's not anymore. And it's got a bit of sticker residue right here, which is odd because it never had a sticker on it when I got it, although possibly it did. Yeah, perhaps this had one of those computers for schools stickers that a lot of all the school computers around here have. Aside from the RAM upgrade I mentioned, I had to replace the PRAM battery. It was dead. And I also changed out the original 40GB Quantum Fireball hard drive for a 40GB Maxtor Slimline hard drive. Faster hard drive and quieter. So today this thing's going to help us get the macOS 9.1 update onto this thing. So let me boot both of them up and I'll explain how I'm going to do this. I have this thing booting into macOS 9. That's what we're going to use for our purposes here. I have steady shot off so the refresh doesn't show up too prominently in the video. Hopefully the video won't be too shaky as a result. And there the iMac's booted up, and in a minute or so the 7300 will be booted up. So here's what I'm planning on. macOS has built-in software that allows it to communicate and share files between two Macintosh computers. And it does this over AppleTalk. Now for the PC guys like myself who aren't educated in Macs, AppleTalk is a networking protocol used on pretty much all Macintosh computers. Now in the Windows world, of course, you have Microsoft networking, which allows Windows computers to network with each other and share files and everything like that. Well, AppleTalk's pretty much the same thing for Macs. And the nice thing about the AppleTalk protocol is it is hardware independent, meaning that you can use AppleTalk over a variety of different networking methods. For example, you can connect two Macs with an Ethernet cable if they both have Ethernet ports and use AppleTalk over Ethernet. Or if you have a serial cable, you can connect it between the printer ports of the two Macs if they both have serial printer ports and use AppleTalk over the serial printer ports. That's pretty awesome, pretty versatile. And once two Macs are connected over an AppleTalk network, they can transfer files between each other. So I have these two computers directly connected to each other through an Ethernet cable. And originally I had them connected and I was trying to enable the file sharing, and it just wouldn't work. I figured, there was something I was supposed to do that I wasn't doing. I googled and went on web page after web page reading about networking Macintosh computers, and I just could not figure out what I did wrong until eventually I went to the last place I would have looked, the Apple website. They had an archived help page about networking two Macs, and dirt me never even thought that if you want to connect an Ethernet cable directly between two Macs, it needs to be a crossover Ethernet cable. That's a special type of Ethernet cable that has a few of the wires in different locations, different pins on the connector than a normal Ethernet cable has. Now with two PCs, you can just directly connect them with a normal Ethernet cable, and the network hardware will do the crossover itself, and it'll work just fine. But Macs, at least older Macs, I think just about every Mac before the Intel Macs, if you want to directly connect them, you need a crossover cable. Now luckily, I have a crossover cable. This cable I made in high school. I remembered making it. I wasn't sure if I actually took it home, but I did, and I'm glad I did. So I now have these two Macs directly connected with a crossover cable. Now, if you don't have a crossover cable, you still can network them via Ethernet. You just got to use a router. Just have a router and plug each Mac into the router. And that's what I originally would have done, because I know somewhere around here I have a spare router, but I couldn't find it. But luckily I had the crossover cable. So, whatever way you connect them up, once you have them properly connected, first you gotta make sure AppleTalk's enabled. So in Mac OS 9. Actually, I should mention, I can do this with this iMac running Mac OS 10 and this running Mac OS 9, obviously, and it'll work just fine. But the thing is, I tried to do this in Mac OS 10, and I just couldn't get it working. Not only could I not get this one to connect to this one, it would just say it was abruptly disconnected. But in Mac OS 10, I couldn't even find where you go to share files. Apparently there's supposed to be a folder called public on the hard drive, but I didn't have one. So I'm doing this in Mac OS 9. I've had it working. So here's what you do. First of all, you gotta make sure Apple Talk is enabled, and that's in the control panels here. You gotta go to Edit and go to User Mode, go to Advanced, then you can click Options, and just make sure it's set to Active. Now on this machine, this actually has an Apple Talk switch right in the control strip. This one doesn't, I don't know why. But on this machine, the 7300, I just go to the Apple Talk switch and make sure it's active. Then you gotta go to the file sharing control panel, file sharing, and you gotta go to this first tab, start stop. Give the computer a name that you can identify it by, obviously this one being iMac, and you gotta make sure file sharing's turned on. The button will say start. When you click it, it'll turn on, and then the button will say stop. You have this checkbox here. I'm not sure if it influences anything with regards to what I'm doing here, but I leave it unchecked because you don't need TCP/IP, you just need Apple Talk. Program linking, basically the file sharing treats programs differently from other files. If program linking is turned off, like it is here, and you try to share a program, it'll say you have to turn program linking on, but if you just stick the program in a folder and try to share the folder, it'll work just fine. So yeah, I'll just leave that turned off for now, because I'm not sure if program sharing actually moves the program over to the other Mac. The Mac just might run it from the host Mac. So I'll just leave it turned off, and you don't have to do anything on the other tabs. This activity monitor, once we actually connect this computer to this one, it'll show up here. So we'll go on to the 7300 here and make sure the file sharing is set the same. You can tell this is a 200 megahertz system and this is a 600 megahertz system because it's a lot slower. Also, you can tell this has a hard drive on a 10 megabyte per second bus, and this one has a hard drive on a 100 megabyte per second bus. There, it finally opened. File sharing's off, file sharing's on, program linking is off, and this one's called Power Macintosh 7300. So once all the settings are correct, you can drag the files or folders you want to share into this part, and they will become recognized by the other computer. Now, to install the macOS 9.1 update on this machine, the update comes in the form of a Stuffit archive, so I need to install Stuffit Expander on this machine. So the first thing I gotta do is get Stuffit Expander on this machine. So that's what we're going to do first. Now, in this folder, I have right here, well, it's not Stuffit Expander, it's Stuffit Standard, same purpose. So I just have it in a folder here so I don't have to turn on program linking. And I'm going to drag it over the shared items, and there it brings up the sharing control panel for it here. I'm going to say share this item, and I want to give everyone read and write privileges, because why not? And we can close that, and there it shows up here. So now we can move this folder onto the 7300. Now this is where things get kind of weird. I could not figure out, I got this far and I could not figure out how to actually access the shared item on this machine. And I was Googling and Googling, I could not figure it out at all. And then I did the most random thing, and it turned out that was what you were supposed to do. Mac networking, at least for macOS, for classic macOS, is very poorly documented on the internet and otherwise. You gotta go to the Apple menu and go to Chooser, of all things, and I've never even known what Chooser's for. But we open Chooser, and then Apple Share, click on it, and there you go. The iMac shows up, and we click on it and click OK. And it asks me to log on to it. Now, I can put in my password and everything, or I can just go as a guest. I have the iMac set so even guests can access it, so I'll just do that so I don't have to type anything. Click Connect. And there it is, Untitled folder. Click OK. And then on the desktop, there's our Untitled folder. Let me close some stuff here. So we can close Chooser. And we can close the file sharing window. And there it shows our network, our Untitled folder as a network drive, so we can open it. And here's our Stuff It standard, so I can drag that onto the desktop. And there's copying it, and if we look at the iMac here, see the activity bar going up a little bit. And there. Now we can install Stuff It on this machine, which is pretty much, a crucial tool for any Macintosh computer. You can't do much without it in the way of installing programs. Open it up here. And continue, agree, install, Macintosh HG, and needs to be restarted. And now it's installing. Sure. I'll probably delete them later. Installation was successful, and it showed up there. And restart. And I'm glad that went well. For some reason, just because I'm so, I have such little knowledge on Macs compared to PCs, I'm always expecting something to go wrong, even something simple like installing a program. So while the 7300 is booting back up, we'll continue on to the next step. So I need to get the macOS 9.1 update onto the iMac. Now, I could have done that with a CDRW disk. Since this thing has a CDRW drive, it can read CDRW disks, no problem. But I figured it was faster and easier to just use a USB flash drive, since this thing also has USB. So I took this spare USB flash drive I have, I formatted it in FAT because macOS 9 can't read NTFS file systems. I think it can read FAT32 though. So this has macOS 9.1 on it, so I'm going to plug it in there. Okay. And it should show up. Yep, there it is. Put this away for now. So we can delete Stuff It there. We don't need that anymore. And go to our flash drive, and ooh, that doesn't look good. They've got really weird names for some reason. Well, I'll highlight them all, copy them onto the Untitled folder. Now this machine's finished booting, so close that. And then I'll come back once the update is finished copying onto the hard drive. Alright, same deal. We're going to move our Untitled, well, our Untitled folder's already on there, because we've shared it before, so nothing else needed to be done here. On the 7300, we go back into the Chooser, Apple Share, iMac, and we'll just connect as a guest, Untitled folder. And there it is. We'll move all this into a folder on the hard drive here rather than running it from the network. I imagine that would be quite slow. So we'll make a new folder. And I'll call it macOS 9.1 update. Alright, open that up. And copy everything from our network folder onto the hard drive. And this will probably be quite slow. Might I add that this is a pretty cool combination of Macs I have set up here. One of the Macs that Apple almost declared bankruptcy with, and running right beside it, the Mac that saved Apple. Pretty cool. Alright, macOS 9.1 update is on the hard drive. So all these files here are parts of a single archive. So I gotta find the main file, which is this one, and I should open and stuff it. And oh, I guess it's extracting them already. Okay, and there we go. There's the SMI file. That's an install file for macOS. Now, is that file representative of the entire thing, or have I got to extract all the other files? 4.7 megabytes. I don't know. I'll try it. Yeah, I got to extract all the parts. It lists all the parts are missing. Well, I'll go ahead and extract all the parts then. So I'll come back once I have all that done. Oh, jeez.
Unable to decompress this archive because there was not enough memory. -108.
Well, thanks for that. I don't have speech turned on. Yeah, this isn't good. I'm not sure why it would do that. I have lots of RAM in this thing. 96 megabytes is quite a lot for macOS 9. Yeah, I mean, I've got over 80 megabytes free. I'm not sure. Oh, come on. Well, all the other parts extracted fine. It was just that part 4, I get a not enough memory error. I hardly believe that, but I figure if it doesn't work, and by the way, despite that error, it did create the file. There it is, part 4. I figure if it doesn't work, I'll decompress them on the iMac and then move the extracted files over here. But I'll try this anyway. And now it's got to verify it. So I'll come back when it does that. Okay, it opened up the disk image fine. Let's click install and see what it does. Alright, looks good so far. Macintosh HD. Okay, what do we have for options? Update drivers, sure. Create installation, yeah, that's fine. Go! Requires a restart. Please quit all other running applications. I have none besides some Finder windows, so I won't worry about that. Okay, looks like we're going. I don't know about that stupid not enough memory thing. Let me actually try running it on here and see if I get the same error. So, part 4 did it.
It's not my fault. That is Macintosh HD. It's being used by another application. Please quit all other applications and try again.
Oh, come on. Also, I gotta turn speech off. Okay, cancel. What do I have for running application? I have no other running applications. Okay. Go away. Now it's gonna reload the Finder. Okay. I still have Apple Talk turned on. Maybe I should turn that off. Also, I lost my control strip. That's the second time that's happened. They say macOS 9.0 is really buggy compared to 9.1, so maybe all these funny things that are happening to me will clear up with the update. I'm gonna go to the control strip. Not active. Yes, activate it. Because it should always be active. Okay. That can go away. Apple Talk turn off. Ah, okay, I gotta turn file sharing off. I bet maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's why the update wouldn't install. File sharing program's quite slow. Not on the iMac, but it is on this machine. And as you can see, the iMac also produced an error, except it wasn't not enough memory, it was just error mounting disk image. So perhaps that image is partially corrupted. Hopefully it's not corrupted in a way that prevents me installing it. Alright, stop file sharing. And I'll turn Apple Talk off. Okay. Oh, I should have gone to the chooser and closed the connection. Whoops. Okay, Apple Talk can go away. Oh. We can get rid of that. macOS install. Also, let me turn speech off because I don't know why that turned on. I've never even gone to the control panel and I would think it to be off by default. Speech. Talking alerts. Okay. Don't talk. Don't talk. Thank you, goodbye. Start. Okay, let's see if this goes this time. Nah, this is kind of weird. Will it extract this one? No. Oh, maybe I gotta do the, yeah, I gotta... Oh, it did extract them. Okay, I don't know what's going on there, but, I won't worry about it. This hasn't crashed yet, luckily. The 7300 finished. Restart. And hopefully it worked. Ah, there we go. macOS 9.1. This is the absolutely newest version of macOS that this thing can legitimately run. And with the help of minor software hacks, then I could run macOS 9.2.2, but for this computer, 9.1 is legitimately the newest version. So we'll come back when it's all booted up. Alright, we're all booted up. The macOS setup assistant's running again. Hey, my control strip came back. I thought it disappeared again. Okay. Hey, it installed QuickTime Player. I didn't have that before. And quit. Alright, we're done. We have macOS 9.1 on this. Ah, look at that. 16 megabytes of RAM used. I don't know what was with those setup files that one of them wouldn't decompress, but I guess it worked regardless. That's sweet. Do we have a sample QuickTime video file we can play? It's QuickTime version 4. Alright. Any sample movie? Yes. Alright, let's play it. Neato. Alright. Good enough. I find it weird how when you have a Mac program open, if you click the, the little close thing on the window, it closes the window, but the program itself remains open. You gotta go to File, Quit. Kinda interesting, but kinda strange for a PC user. Well, that's it, guys. We have macOS 9.1 on this. How much space on the hard drive are we using? Wow, almost half a gigabyte. I would have expected a lot less than that. Sweet, that's awesome. So there you go. Heck, this thing's running great. This is going about as perfectly as a vintage Macintosh revival could go. I'm really happy. So there you go, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys later. I don't know what voice it's on. Victoria, that's no fun. We need hysterical. which is supposedly someone laughing, but it sounds like they're sobbing.
Please stop. Please stop.
Oh my gosh. Holy cow. Oh, that's too awesome. Alright, now this is, quite clearly, a fluorescent strip light. But, it is...